up in the building, and then we're about to get into it. There's been conversation on the Grammys article, in fact, and I think for it's been like a week, it's up weekend, almost.
Yeah, last Friday.
Yeah, I think the article came out last Friday, and then it was amplified when Stonebwoy registered his displeasure of certain things that were in the article, and then he said that they do not represent, they are half-dosed, and they do not represent the true state of the Ghanaian sound. And then social media moved towards Stonebwoy, saying that he doesn't qualify to even start a conversation on the article, because the article clearly states what it is supposed to be. That is 10 essential Ghanaian 10 essential to Ghanaian hip life, Reggie, Rockstone, Sarkodie, Miss Bell, and more. So the article is basically centered on hip life, of which most of the social media users believe that Stonebwoy doesn't qualify to even be mentioned in there. Well, conversation occur in different forms. I mean, it has gone from Stonebwoy is envious of Shatawale and Samini being mentioned in there, to the latter, which is a conversation on BKC podcast by my brother Portfolio on the Portfolio. In fact, the show is called The Portfolio on the BKC network, where he had Stonebwoy on there, and that podcast was released like a day ago. That was yesterday or 2 days ago. The podcast was Yesterday, okay.
Yeah, I think somewhere. Yeah.
No, 2 days ago.
Yeah.
2 days ago. So Stonebwoy and Portfolio had a conversation, and there are elements in there that this morning I want us to start our conversation off by listening to it. Stonebwoy explaining why he believes the Grammy article written by Nana Kojumula is a half-dosed document. Let's listen to Stonebwoy and Jermaine Portfolio on the Portfolio on BKC Network.
What is your position in hip life? Because you have always championed an Afro dancer. The first time I heard Afro dancer was from you, and that is a part you are chattering. People are of the view that what is your concern with an article that captures hip life?
But hip life is our foundation. Hip life will pay credit to high life, and everything that is today must also pay credit to hip life. So I definitely draw inspiration. I'm a son of, hip life till today. But it doesn't change the fact that the article wants to capture the Ghanaian sound. The article is capturing the state of Ghanaian sound, disguising under hip life somehow. And we know better. We cannot sit here to have our sound captured, whereby it takes it all the way and comes back to, I'm making my points from there to Sheriff, our brother, and then Kim Paluta. I want to ask, what are their roles in hip life?
Maybe because of how they have identified themselves.
Are they hip life artists?
They identify themselves as such.
Have they said they are hip life artists?
For Paluta, I can stick my neck out for him. I have heard Blacko say he does high life and trap. I don't know, something like something of that sort.
Good.
Which obviously traces source from the indigenous genre.
So do I not trace my sources also from the hip life?
Okay, so let me read this out real quick, maybe to give you a better understanding of the issue.
And then it ends up by summing it up. It goes head and comes down.
Right.
Summaries it up with, that's an artist of the year. Kim Paluta is a new artist of the year.
Right.
And mentions a previous artist of the year. So believe you me, I know better in this industry.
Right.
I speak less. I need to tell it straight.
Right.
I speak less. I know better. I understand the terrain more, and I'm always a student trying to continue to learn.
Right.
When something doesn't make sense, by the grace of God Almighty and by the virtue of the people, an established artist like myself, who doesn't brag about things, those who know me in real life know that I know myself. I don't doubt. I know what I'm speaking about. What I've spoke about is the same thing a TikTok is speaking about. It's the same thing Kwa is speaking about. It's the same thing some G8 article is speaking about. This article has tried, but does not capture the full state of the Ghanaian sound. May it not hide under hip life. To try to coin it in a certain way. Then what is Samini doing in there if their style is contemporary? What is Shatta doing in there if their style is contemporary? What is Sonny Bali doing in there if the style is contemporary? Is my style not contemporary enough to be mentioned as even the current artist of the year? Are we writing in the past? I'm confused. There's a lot of questions I want to ask and I want to know also. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Right.
That is what I am standing for on behalf of Stonebwoy, speaking the truth and saying, no, this is the vibe. And out of all the lists mentioned, Stonebwoy is one of the ones who have come closest to the Grammys many times.
Yes, certainly.
So what will be the curse or the harm here if that writer finds a way to acknowledge our current artist of the year so that still continues to represent a certain pie, a certain piece of the Ghanaian industry? You can disagree all you want, but I'm being honest with you. It is not about articles being written on Stonebwoy. Stonebwoy undoubtedly has it's been written about mostly on international platforms. In that list mentioned, Stonebwoy is one of the names
Facts.
that has gotten so
Facts.
much international write-ups.
Facts.
So what would it be?
Facts.
Is it that I want
Facts.
more write-up or no? I am here at this time, like you said, as an institution, a young institution at that. I have to lend my voice to stuff that will be meaningful tomorrow, if not now.
Authenticate this for us. Someone wrote that your first commercial song was Odomakuma and Empress, which was produced by Quick Action on a compilation album in 2006.
Yes.
Both songs were reggae, house. Those songs were reggae. And then he came out fully with Grade 1 album, which housed
hold on.
songs like...
I understand that. So
Right.
Makuma, it had tree in that. That's tree. Where do we get the tree influence from? From hip life, from high life. Simple. It has reggae beats. When you carry Ghanaian sound of gospel music around that time, all you hear is reggae. When you carry Sonny Bali, all you hear is reggae. So what are they trying to distinct here?
Right.
What are they trying to distinct in that era? When you hear Tadi Lumba, Koduenchi, you hear the influences of reggae as far as that.
Right.
What am I doing differently?
Well,
When these are my inspiration. So as far back as 2007, am I not even closest in case? Am I not even closest? You know, if it is that I really want a mention,
The
of course, am I
mischief people
not
are
even
playing
closest?
over here because you wouldn't have made a big
I
fuss
love
about
it.
it if Shatta was not mentioned.
Fine, that's their own.
Yeah,
But I love it because in the end, I am the sole force behind Afro dancehall.
Yes.
So I believe that the people maybe denounced at that time just because I'm trying to be a part of, and I have to really be a part of Ghanaian sound.
Right.
I'm actually advocating for something they see low. They don't, see the foresight. I'm grateful that I have a table for my own, which is Afro dancehall, which has a lot of people going to be able to sit around it very soon. And I believe that in a year or two, or anybody who is discerning would also capture a full story about that style. Then they will understand that right from the times of Kojo Enchi, right from the times of Sonny Bali, Yogi Dogi, Terry Bonchaka, and even Rutai and more, General Marcus, Black Prophet, Vibration Kings, and even more that we don't know, Roots Annable, they will realize that I'm not doing anything different. I'm only burning the torch. That's why I'm the torcher. And I've only defined it properly as Afro dancer to the world from Ghana.
Well, many more can be found on the BKC network on YouTube. It's called The Portfolio, exclusive interview he had with Stonebwoy over the weekend as against the rants of the Grammy article that sparked it turned Ghana Ghana X into a different type of war zone. Yet again, another fight between Beam Nation and SM. For high graders, they were in the middle. But then for SM and Beam, it was really, really tough. But then to kickstart this conversation, I have Mr. Edem Chotome in the building. Well, in fact, today we'll be getting on the phone lines more and also speaking to a couple of people who have interest in the Hip Life article. Well, the Hip Life article is still on the Grammy site. It's not been taken down. Despite, them being mentioned, the APRO, and them being mentioned by key stakeholders in the Hip Life genre. That is Tic Tac, Stonebwoy, and even Kwao Kese at a certain point in time mentioned the Recording Academy and said that the document or the article on their website is half dose. Let me, if I can have some small minutes to say my mind on this. I think the writer should be called out. This morning I sent him a DM requesting that he comes out for us to have a conversation on this. In the initial stages, the conversation was more of an artist who doesn't belong in a category, forcing himself to be in a category.
Very, very bad.
What is bad?
Forcing himself.
That is how the conversation picked up in the initial stages. However, if we are to look at the article itself and try to see how well written and how well it represented our history, then I will raise these questions. 10 essential artists to Ghanaian hip life. A music genre that spans over 30 years, or is 30 years as we speak. Mine defense for the writer would be that certain artists were captured under certain sound revolution or music revolution during the same hip life era. That is where you will see a Reggie Rockstone having a major block in there. I will feel that under Reggie Rockstone, we might have the FOKM boys, that is Mensa from the FOKM boys being captured in there. Under, let's say, Obrafour, I will feel that the Psy Lovers were captured under there. Under even Reggie Rockstone, I will feel that the Native Funk Lords were captured under Reggie Rockstone and the influence that Reggie Rockstone brought to hip life. I will also say that maybe Okofor Kwade and the rest were captured under, let's say, VIP. Or the Tic Tacs were captured under VIP. Fair enough, it makes a lot of sense. Miss Bell has a slot in there. Maybe I'll say Kunti Hine was captured under the Miss Bell sound and the revolution that it came with. You understand? I have no problem with any of them. However, if we are talking with respect to this, capturing sounds under revolution 30 years down the line, then I would want to look at the last one. That is the Asaka Boys. The last but two, that is the Asaka Boys, of which we would all say that they also changed the course of hip life, the sound that it came with. But then right after Asaka Boys, there's Black Sheriff, of which I believe that his sound was, in fact, clearly influenced by the Asaka Boys. So why does he have a major block in there? Why does he?
His picture is the featured image.
Is the featured image. Okay, let's go on. The last artist on it is Kimpaluta. We can say, in fact, we can play all his songs and then we know that his influence is quite different. So if he has a slot in there, I don't mind. Now, let me get back to the introduction of it, of which Stonebwoy made mention in the podcast with Portfolio. The introduction of the article says, in the 1990s, artists and producers from Accra merged the sound and aesthetics of American hip-hop and their Ghanaian sound and culture, the resulting genre, hip life, significantly influencing the music from Ghana and the African continent. Now, in Stonebwoy's case, Stonebwoy is saying that, Charlie, it's like you are talking about the sound of Ghana and you want to hide behind hip life. But why are you doing that if the artist, number 9 artist, and before, let me just issue this disclaimer so that we don't sound as if, or I don't sound as if I have a personal issue with any artist. We might have issue, but we are having an intellectual discourse this morning. So you can join us on Facebook and then let us know your thoughts, and we will read it loud on radio. In fact, we are not going to edit it. We'll read it as it is. So if you are talking about Ghanaian sound, there's a current artist of the year. This is according to Stonebwoy, whose sound rides on the existence or the bedrock of his sound is on hip life. Hold on. Because if you don't agree, Kwame Dazi, if you don't agree to that, then it will nullify other reggae dancehall artists whose names were captured in. So hold on, let me finish. Is
my mic on?
Your mic.
I'm talking to.
Let me put it off. You can't talk to Adam. We're having a conversation here. You can't talk to Adam. Kwame Dazi. According to Stonebwoy, he believes that if it's on the state of hip life, he believes his sound had the bedrock of hip life. So he should be mentioned in there. Number 1. 2, is the article progressive? Because I had a personal conversation with Stonebwoy and I did an editorial on Street is Watching. I had a personal conversation with Stonebwoy. In fact, 3 times. 3 times over the weekend. I think on Friday, Nana Kwame were there when Stone called. So three different sets of conversation. I still maintain my stand that if it's a conversation on hip life, you identified yourself from 2006 with your first song, that was Makuma, which is a purely reggae song. So on that level, you do not even qualify. And also, you do not even identify yourself as a reggae and dancehall, as a hip life artist. You don't identify yourself. But guess what? So does Black Sheriff. Unless you want to tell me that he's been on a platform where he talks about the fact that he's a hip life artist. So what is he doing there? We need to call the writer out. He needs to come out and explain some of these things. Because we can't have, and apparently, I'm not going to talk about his age, but then he's a 26-year-old boy, that's what I've heard, trying to document a music genre that is older than him without proper due diligence. Because, TikTok came out to talk about it, right? Now, this morning, you're telling me about the fact that in 1995, TikTok had a song with Azigiza. That is 1995. 1995.
But his name is captured in there.
Azigiza?
No, TikTok.
No, but where is Azigiza? Medowabena. Do you want me to play it?
No, but wait. Let him. He's doing his editorial.
I'm doing my editorial. Hold on.
When is done?
Do you want us to play Azigiza's Medowabena right now?
Don't play it. We know.
You know?
Yeah.
So where is Azigiza in here?
Okay.
Slim Bastard is not even captured in there. So the writer needs to come out.
Okay.
And explain to us. As much as you might not agree with Stonebwoy, Stonebwoy also has a point saying that it's looking more or less like you want to capture the true state of Ghanaian sound. Need I read the second paragraph again? Marlin caught second one also. And that one will finalize everything for us. Now, the second paragraph says, in fact, the first paragraph, say the first one was the preface and prelude. First one says, Ghana has been home to some of the most recognizable musical exports from the African continent, contributing heavily to the globalization and development of the continent's sound. Whilst high life is regarded as the country's biggest sonic export, the introduction of hip life some 30 years ago invigorated the Ghanaian music scene and birthed some of the country's most important artists. Omunye, 10.
Can we talk now? Or you're not done still?
No, me.
Okay.
10 nini.
Okay.
So is Stonebwoy wrong to vent that it's like you want to talk about the whole Ghanaian sound, but you want to hide behind hip life and take some out. He doesn't understand. And he said something in the podcast with Portfolio that he understands this industry. We live in an industry where there are people who intentionally can malign you or sideline you when they are pushing a certain agenda. That it is true. I'm here. I'm this one. I'm not here to do defense for Stonebwoy or anything, but I feel the writer did not do the necessary, background on hip life in the first place, and this whole uproar on social media is as a result of a half-dosed article. I do not side with Stonebwoy. If the whole document is on hip life, I will repeat. If the document is on hip life and he wants to be a part of it. So himself and any other artist in there who have not identified themselves as hip life artists should be taken out. I arrest
your case.
My case. In-house, I have Edem Tutume and also Kwame Dazi. I think one part that I saw Kwame Dazi moving to Stonebwoy was when he said, of all the artists in there, he's the one who is closest to the Grammy. I saw you post something.
I think I posted twice. Initially, I mentioned the fact that non-hip life artists are fighting for a place in hip life history.
Okay.
When he first tweeted about it.
Okay.
And then yesterday, I made a general post, and I have a reason for posting that. I saw so many people coming to and he was talking about the people.
I'll come at one of your posts.
I'll come at you as well.
So hold
because
on.
I really came hard and large.
So I saw one of your posts where you made a fantastic statement saying the lines of music genres are getting blurrier by the day.
Yeah.
And I will ask you to identify or categorize 2 songs for me.
No, wait. Don't let us drift from what we came here.
No, because
it could be after this one.
On the same thing.
Let's start with the article.
Okay.
Don't let us drift from the center of the whole discussion.
You are talking
because you did an editorial right now.
Okay, so we're
talking about the article.
No.
Let's start from there.
No, you want to
the genre post. Wait, me I'm here post. So is that what we are discussing this morning?
But we are talking about. You want to say that Stonebwoy. You said in your second post, you said that non-hip life artists are fighting for a place in a hip life article.
And I may say,
but then there are some
the post that I wrote
in there who are not.
Is that what we're discussing, or we're discussing Kojomule's article?
We are discussing it because I said this morning that number 10, number 9 on the list is Black Sheriff, who has not identified himself as a hip life artist. So what is?
So let me start my presentation from the article. Then you come and ask whichever question you want to ask.
Oh. Okay.
Because where you want to start from, you would distort my whole line of
presentation.
You came in
distorting my presentation.
I didn't.
Your microphone.
Why did you put the microphone on when you had not called me?
Okay, I have not called you. Don't speak, Adam.
Oh well, I don't mind.
Adam.
Okay, I mean let me set the tone for Kwame to come in. I think that I've listened to a documentary on BBC which talks about hip life, and I heard Kwame Eugene, Sister Eno Baroni, Kiddy, and. Madino Brafo.
Manifest.
And Manifest said that, but for hip life, he's not sure he would have been a musician. And at the time that hip life was on, Nigeria didn't have that youth-oriented movement. To the extent that there were some TV shows music TV shows in Nigeria known as hip life. You understand? So this is very. And if you check even the Afrobeat backstory, which was done by Nigeria, a mention was given to hip life and that movement to the UKs and other things. So it tells you how important the hip life story is. Because many musicians who are top notch today were influenced by that genre. And as a result, if we are writing anything about such a huge movement, we should be very cautious. I mean, in terms of research, we need to do good research, regardless of whoever is writing, to ensure that that genre is well represented. Because if you do not do that, yes, you've done something good, but at the end of the day, some of the lapses will crowd the whole, positive thing you are trying to do for the genre. And that is where I find some worry. I mean, if you talk about hip life and you are saying a mantle fell on TikTok, and what are you talking about? Mantle fell on them. From who? I mean, Reggie Rockstone, the Tinies, recognize, how he was there. The Nazi Strangers. So you cannot talk about a mantle falling on TikTok. If you any hip life story who is saying a mantle fell on Tik, then you don't know the history you are talking about.
Are you trying to say TikTok, but hip life?
No, but I want to say that if you can say that Samini and Shatawale are pioneering. If you talk about pioneers and you mention Samini and Shatawale, that is really wrong. Because that will be 204, 205. That's why even TikTok made a tweet on that by saying that aside, I want to be quote him right. I want to quote him right. He said, Tick quoted, he said, 1, good try, bro, but next time, try and consult for more insight on such important write-up like these, just try to get closer to making it perfect. Then he, in terms of the writer said, played a pioneering role, and we know that Rutai was there with Reggie Rockstone when they were recording. I mean, his album and other things, and he even had a shot in there.
Yeah, he had Sweetie.
So TikTok said, referring to the pioneering hip life artists like Rutai, Samini, and Shatawale. And
that word.
I mean, and TikTok come to say, with the exception of Rutai, the rest are false.
Yes.
Early 90s would definitely fall on General Marcus. If you talk about artists who were influenced to use high life and dancehall to do something. General Marcus, Kwesi Selassie, a few others, Black Prophet, Vibration Kings, to name a few. So, if you want to talk about a certain genre and the kind of people who represented it, I mean, we need to do a lot of research so that at the end of the day, the beautiful thing we are doing is not, disrupted. Then I see something. That's one thing I think Stonebwoy is trying to disagree or call out the writer because he circled his name in the street. You see, the preamble, I mean, if we all write an article, we try to give a certain context to whatever we are writing and open the reader's mind to grasp what the feature the write-up is about so that it will make it easy for the reader to understand. Yeah. So you set the tone with certain, like your lead and second paragraph and other things. And if you look at the lead of his article, which I think are the reasons Stonebwoy is having a problem with him, he says that in the 1990s, artists and producers from Accra merged the sound and aesthetics of American hip-hop with their Ghanaian sound and culture, the resulting genre, hip life, significantly influenced music from Ghana and African continent, which is true. So he's saying that this hip life, which is as a result of a merger of a local sound and hip life, influence a certain monster, which is hip life. And that hip life gave birth to music from Ghana, which has a sound. Yes. So he believed that if you are talking about sound of Ghana, then you have hip life there, and you have sound of Ghana. Then continue with the sound of Ghana. Then this guy comes with a second paragraph to say that Ghana has been home of some of the most recognizable musical exports from African continent, contributing heavily to the globalization and development of the continent's sound. While high life is regarded as a country's biggest sonic export, the introduction of hip life some 30 years ago invigorated the Ghanaian music scene and bettered this a crucial part, bettered some of the country's most important artists. So the second one talk about the sound from Ghana, and the first part talks about giving birth to the country's most important artists. And it is why Stonebwoy feel like, no, I see, yes, in the headline is hip life, but if you look at the body, I can see an agenda.
There's nothing hip life about the body.
Of a representation of the Ghanaian sound, I feel like the writer didn't finish.
I side with you.
So the writer should do the writing. That's what Stonebwoy is saying. And to the writer too, the writer knows what he's writing about. And he has every right to write what he feels and what his research has given him. However, the readers also deserve any form of interrogation with whatever he has written. So, I mean, for me, I think that, but for some of these things, we shouldn't have been here. Because if you further read the thing down there, and the writer says something here which is very interesting.
Hold on.
He said that.
Hold on a bit. As you check for it.
He said later younger generation, including Asem, Richie Mensah, and Beats Rap.
No, Beatstrap,
KOTM continue to amplify. I mean, you could clearly say, like, this person may be close to the artist, and he's trying to rope some people in where they are not supposed to be in. I mean, you cannot mention Asem, Richie, and follow it up with Beatstrap. I mean, he's doing amazing. Yeah. I mean, now he has the platform, but clearly, someone sitting somewhere will feel like there's an agenda that you want to champion something for somebody. And if that is what you are doing, then everybody.
It could also be a writing style.
Of course, but
it could also be a writing style.
So that's why I'm saying he has every right to write whatever his research points out. But people also deserve the right. But for me, if I'm to advise Stonebwoy, I will tell him to, forget about this. Because at the end of the day, legacies cannot be overridden by anything. He should just focus on the legacies he's living and continue to live those legacies.
But this is on a Grammy platform.
Oh, of course, yes.
A platform as big as Grammys.
Yes, correction. People have come to talk about it. Now, people have come to point it out. So, he should leave it. He should move on. And focus, because if care is not taken, because at times, then if you are not careful, you may go on a certain tangent. So he should leave it up and continue with the legacies he's living. Because at the end of the day, those legacies are stories in themselves. They are history in themselves.
Okay.
And that should be the focus.
Okay.
And from journalistic point of view, I want to urge every writer to pay attention to, especially when it comes to history. Today, we are arguing about founders. And there are a whole lot of issues coming up. It is why we need to ensure that if it's about history, and especially at a period you are not there, as a writer, because I'm a journalist, my emphasis is on the writer. You need to ensure that you get in touch with people who lived it and people who know about it can even proofread for you. Because if you have about 3-4 people who lived it and those who were stakeholders in that period, all the 4 will bring some bits and pieces and correction. And at the end of the day, you have a masterpiece, because one of the downsides of journalism is for you to write and people will point
having
some lapses.
Yeah,
like as a journalist, it makes you feel like the
writer should have listened to the library. He needs to listen to the library,
and you feel like as a journalist, it hits you very hard. So we should, endeavor to, especially history, speak to the people who are there. Stonebwoy has every right to, question if he feels from a trajectory that something is wrong. However, every Ghanaian also have reserved the right to also disagree with Stonebwoy. Others are disagreeing, and that is the beauty of some of these conversations.
Okay. Well, Adam, hold on. Drink water small. We'll come back to you. But then star 281# this morning. We're giving out 1,000 Ghana cedis. Kwame Dazi, you stand a chance of winning 1,000 Ghana cedis in the next 16 minutes. We're about to drop that bag. 1,000 Ghana cedis. So start playing right now. 1,000, 10 million. Titisikano. Start playing right now. 3 simple steps and then you're sorted out. Star 281#. First prompt will ask you for the radio station. Select number 5, that is Hitz FM. Next prompt will ask you for the number of tickets you wish to buy. A ticket is 5 Ghana cedis, and then the last prompt will ask you to input your Momo pin for Telecel users, MTN users, and Anope Yebabe Chimuska. So start playing right now. It's called Quick Cash for a reason. Kwame Dazi is here. Kwame, your take on this issue. Now, before that, I think production was signaling me about the lack of available source of music history in Ghana, especially when it comes to hip life. And I think the music museum by the Charterhouse, like Ghana Music Museum by Charterhouse, will now come into proper use anytime there's going to be a historic article being written somewhere, especially with respect to music. People can actually get there and get more information to put it out there. In Kojo Muller's defense, I'll say there's no proper place to get document apart from the library on Hitz FM, so he needs to listen to it. Anyway, continue.
A round of applause to Kojo Muller. He's done a yeoman's job. You just mentioned, we keep mentioning, there is no documentation for our music history. We don't tell our stories. People like Adam, Kwame Dazi, we are there. We're not writing about our stories. And somebody, a young guy of about 26 years old, has decided to put together a brilliant piece like this, and people are behaving like witches and wizards, trying to consume him overnight. Why are we like that? Who? And the fact that we say, there is no history for him. A certain professor came to Ghana, Usman Halifu, did a whole book on hip life with Reggie Rockstone's picture on it. If you want to search for that and go read about hip life, you can find it. There are documentaries, one by Reggie Rockstone. The BBC one is a abridged version. There are stories about hip life, even in Professor Collins' High Life book. I've read that. What Kojo Muller did is an extension of how we are all urging people to write the stories of our time. And Idosti is doing that with radio. Maybe you are also doing that with podcasting, other things. Somebody's doing that through writing. And let me tell you, Kojo Muller was not writing a book. Even if he was writing a book, he could not capture everything.
But he's
wait. When you were talking, I didn't say a word.
Kwame Dazi.
If you don't allow me to flow,
you are putting your credibility on the line.
No.
Okay.
Let me speak as a writer, and I was surprised at them as a writer was just doing bogbas. Okay. He was writing an article, and usually when you're writing articles, you are limited to certain word counts.
It doesn't mean you can misrepresent.
Wait, let me continue. Why don't you want me to speak?
Adam, let me put his microphone. His microphone is off.
So when you talk about Anna Wayne, this person wasn't mentioned and all that. I just mentioned you earlier on. I'm making my point.
Can we get some math something?
When you're talking about, and I understand people not saying, "Oh, I didn't see the young mommy. Why wasn't my name mentioned?" All that. I understand them, and I understand the fact that he is not perfect and he made some mistakes. I remember the very first mistake we pointed out was when he mentioned Wale and Samini as early 90s. And they went to correct that. Now it's 2000, early 2000. It's been corrected.
Okay, let me check the story again.
We pointed it out, and then later on, they went to the back end to correct that. It means that genuinely, he believed he made a mistake. And there are other mistakes that you guys have pointed out. I have no qualms about you pointing out his mistakes to him.
Still, it's not being changed.
It's there.
Okay, so let me read that paragraph again.
Wait, are you reading from a screenshot?
No, not a screenshot.
I'm also here.
I'm on the Grammy's website.
And I'm also on the Grammy's website.
Okay, so as a movement and culture, hip life is also an identity created to encourage people to be daring in their exploration.
Not there. Pioneering hip life artists like Rutai, Samini, Sotawale.
So yes, pioneering
fused high life in the early 2000s. That is where I'm talking about.
But you are saying pioneering artist.
No,
the word is pioneering artist.
Slim, did you listen to me?
Pioneering
artist. I said Kojo Muller corrected the early 90s to early 2000s.
But the correction is not even about the danger.
You are not listening to me.
The danger is not about the 1999. It's about the pioneering.
When the thing came out, people were talking about the year, the wrong dates.
Did they not get it right? The issue.
You were even on our page. And when we mentioned that, I think Logic or somebody said, is it early 90s? And I'm telling you that when his attention was drawn to that, it has been corrected to 2000.
Then he should go and correct the word or change.
So
the
you
word
are saying a different thing now. So don't tell me, sir.
It's not about that.
So don't think for me.
Inconsistencies in there.
Don't think for me. And I didn't write the article.
I'm punching holes in what you're saying.
No. Let me make my point. Because when you were speaking, you were making a lot of boast. I didn't even...
You are also making boast this morning.
So somebody has written an article pointing out to him, pioneering is a mistake. And I'm...
Do you believe that is a mistake?
It's a mistake.
Good. Let's continue.
But why? He has made some mistakes in the article. And so we can point out all those mistakes. But it is not a mistake for him not including Stonebwoy in the article. It is no mistake. It is no mistake.
Why do you say that?
Yes. Now let me come to that. Hip life as a music genre started with some people. The Reggie Rockstones talking drums, the NFL, Mahoney Peas, and all those people. Rutai played a role in that. There are some people who were mainstream through and through hip life artists that championed this cause. And there are other people who either influenced the genre or were influenced. Chatawale, Samini are the nascent stage of hip life, even though they were tagged as dancehall raga people, were hugely involved in the hip life game. You remember those days when somebody does a hip life song, chorus crash a baby, verse 1, verse 2, at the end, what we call coda or an extension would be a raga by maybe Yogi Dogi, by Samini, by Chatawale, by Screwface, by whoever. So they become an integral part of the hip life structure. From the beginning. And this was from the late 90s, early 2000s. At that time, that was when hip life was the hottest thing in the system. So even though we had a high life music, hip life was the youngest form of music that came with some life blood.
Yeah.
And so if you emerged during that time and you were doing a different genre, you were likely to have been influenced or to have influenced that hip life genre at that time. So if you mention Chatawale and Samini, they deserve to be there.
Correction.
However,
Bandana
and Batman. However,
2 B's now 2 S.
However, I would have wished he maybe had added people like what do you call it? General Marcus, Sonny Bali, Yogi Dogi. I would have wished. But as a writer, I understand that when you are writing an article, you can't, like this, you can't capture everybody.
Okay.
And even the title of the article mentions 10 essentials.
Can I chip in something?
Don't chip in yet.
Can I chip in something?
Maybe you might distort my argument.
Still on that same point. So when he mentioned pioneering hip life artists like Rutai, Samini, and Chatawale, then it means that the writer is on a trajectory, talking about the influence of dancehall in the hip life genre.
Of course. And it was not only dancehall that influenced hip life, even high life.
Fantastic.
So there were several influences.
Fantastic. But then, if you are talking about influences, these artists, that is the Batman and the Bandana, they were also influenced by an earlier form of earlier group of artists.
Okay.
That is, we can talk about General Marcus, we
Of
can talk
course.
about
Chatawale mentions Terry Bonchaka.
Terry
Of course.
Bonchaka and all that.
Of course.
So Stonebwoy has every right to point that one also out.
And Nameka
Hold
said,
on.
when I'm talking, you're not listening. I said I would have wished he mentioned those people too. But
you use the word pioneering. So when pioneering comes in, those artists who were influenced
have I contested that the pioneering is wrong? Have I contested? No, have I contested?
Don't say that you wish Senko Mobeka. Don't say that.
You are saying two different things.
Don't say that you wish
the
they
pioneering
added, because the moment
have you asked me if the pioneering is wrong or right?
You need to talk about where it started from.
And anything I may can say.
That's
what I'm saying. You are the host, but you're not listening.
I am listening.
You're not paying attention.
Because where you are coming
That is
from.
why. So now you as the host, you are now
people said
you are now doing
a
panditry. But as a host, you should listen and ask sensible follow-up questions.
What we
now,
are saying that what I'm saying is not sensible.
You are asking other boss questions.
You use the word pioneering, and you don't want to go. You don't want to.
And you asked me earlier on.
Be bold on the pioneering.
Be bold on the pioneering.
But you asked me earlier on, and I told you that
there
are mistakes.
And
it's a mistake.
Withdraw the word sensible because what I'm saying is full of sense.
Okay, I will do the sensible. I will draw.
So
but wait,
you don't want to accept that pioneering.
DJ Slim,
the word pioneering.
You are not even listening to yourself.
No.
Earlier on, earlier on, you
See,
pointed
Kwame
out,
the problem is
do
that
I
Kwame has
understand?
praised the writer.
Wait,
so he
do
finds
I-
it difficult to condemn some of the mistakes.
You asked that, do I agree that there are mistakes in the article? I said yes. You even pointed out to the pioneering. I said yes, it's a mistake.
That is why I'm saying
Anything
don't
I make
say
can
that
say.
you wish.
But what should I do? The thing has not been written. So what should I say?
Okay, go on.
So say it should
You
have
go.
been this.
It should have been there, but it's not there. And I'm saying that as a writer, you can't capture everything.
That is where you are wrong.
I'm not wrong because maybe you don't write, so you don't
Because
understand
it's
it.
historic.
No.
Wait,
Kwame,
wait.
if you say
It's
you can't
history.
capture everything,
You can't capture
it's
everything.
history. No,
You can't.
It's history, but you
This
cannot
article-
capture things wrongly.
It's history.
No.
It's
No,
history.
what is
If
wrong?
you can't capture everything is different from you cannot capture certain things wrongly.
What is wrong should be pointed out.
So that
But
shouldn't
what
be
has not
hidden
been
under you
captured-
can't capture everything.
No, it's history. The
Don't
moment you
hide
go
under
down
you
that
can't
path,
capture everything
See,
to
see,
allow mistakes to
see.
fester.
See,
let's
if
go.
you want us to have progressive conversations, some of these
You
unnecessary
go on.
interjections,
Go on, you go on.
we
We are
shouldn't
not going to
tolerate
stop.
this because
My microphone
when
is
you
off.
guys were talking,
My
I was
microphone is
quiet,
off. I'm-
and now it's a banter.
No.
Because you think that I should also come and join you to bash the guy.
No. Continue.
You continue.
Somebody has
sorry,
sat down, made an attempt. It is right as critics to point out his mistakes to him. We've mentioned pioneering is wrong. The date is wrong. And I'm saying that writing some of these things, you need to mention the people. You can mention, if you can mention everybody, mention it well. There's a place that he put some B strap or somewhere. It doesn't really make sense. But all that I'm saying is that, and the topic you gave us on the page was about Stonebwoy complaining about his exclusion from this. And I'm saying that there are some people that if their name is not here, it doesn't spoil anything. And Stonebwoy is one of them. People like General Marcus, yes, they should have been there. People like all
Ronnie
those
coaches.
all those who came before Shatawale and Samini.
Ronnie coaches.
Yes. But for Stonebwoy, which is the topic that was put on the page, he has it's much ado about nothing for him to be complaining about this, because the time Stonebwoy came into the system, at that time, hip life had taken a different evolutional turn. And at that time, it wasn't as strong and influential as it were when Shatawale, the Yogi Doggies were around. And even Stonebwoy didn't have that huge influence like those his forebears had. So, if I am writing and I'm considering the number of counts that I've been giving, I would prioritize those whose contributions
Exactly.
were bigger
Solid.
than somebody who was just an ancillary to the equation.
Solid
So
point.
I am saying, if Stonebwoy's name was written there, it would have been nice. But in the absence of that, it doesn't take anything away from
Fantastic.
that analysis that we are doing.
Fantastic.
So what Kujomula has done and the way people are tearing him apart, I think we are not being fair to the guy.
Nobody is tearing him apart.
Some people are creating the impression that the guy had an agenda and then why is Black Sherif there? Yes, Black Sherif also came at a time when the whole hip life culture had taken a different turn with Asaka people.
So don't you believe his sound should have been captured just under
And
Asaka?
again, as a writer, I will understand why maybe he was just separated from them, because Black Sherif alone, the influence he's made within the last 3 years, the Hawking influence alone can
deserves
make
a
him
major block.
Oh yes,
Okay.
we can say it. You look at the influence he's had globally as an individual.
Okay.
Black Sherif, we're talking about Black Sherif.
But does he identify himself as a hip life artist?
You see, that's another thing. So we're talking about hip life and its influences. And I mentioned earlier on, Stonebwoy's name being there wouldn't have been a problem. But what is the contribution?
Oh, hold on.
You see, Black Sherif, his style of music, I'm coming, and the culture that he represents leans closer to hip life than Stonebwoy.
Okay,
yes
so,
or no?
So hold on. So you said something that hip life and its influences.
Of course.
Based on that, you want to consider Black Sherif to be an integral part of this, and therefore he deserves a major block because of his contribution.
And his influence
Hold on.
has been great, just like the Saka people, the boys.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. But then a typical song. When I was starting my submission, I asked you for you to grade some of these songs for me, put them in music genres.
Yeah.
A song like Sobolo, how would you call it? Where would you place it? Sobolo by
Sobolo is
Stonebwoy.
high life.
High life.
Yeah.
But is it not an influence of hip life?
It's high life.
No, but is high life not an influence of hip life?
What are you saying?
No.
Which one
not,
came first?
Is it not the basis?
Which
of
one
hip
came
life?
first?
No, is it not the basis of hip life?
Yeah.
So then, if you are talking about influences, of which Black Sherif,
But it's high life.
Hold on, Black Sherif has not identified himself as a hip.
I understand.
But you use the word influence to bring him into the conversation.
And I'm saying
why
that.
can't you use that same word influence to bring Stonebwoy into the
And I'm
conversation?
saying that I wouldn't have been.
Where does it
Slim,
change?
you are not listening. Stonebwoy being there wouldn't have been a problem. But he not being there too doesn't spoil anything, because his influence on the hip life genre is not as big as the other people. It's not even as big as Black Sherif.
Hey.
Yes, because hip life, let me tell you, hip
Let's
life,
continue tomorrow.
Slim, hip life is not just a music form, it's also a culture. Look at Black Sherif, and look at Stonebwoy, and tell me which of them leans towards hip life, hip hop more. Look at them, the two of them, and tell me which of them leans towards hip life, hip hop genre the most.
So
Tell me.
So okay.
And then they brought in Kim Paluta, and I heard Stonebwoy mention Black Sherif and then Kim Paluta. Kim Paluta started music almost around the same time that Stonebwoy started. So when you mention people's names like that, and you try to create the impression that they don't deserve to be there, then I'm like, oh, Brad Stonebwoy, why are you doing that? My junior brother, why are you doing that? Because you see, Kim Paluta, as we speak now, again as a writer, if I was writing that, I'll add him because he's the hottest thing at the moment. Paluta is the hottest thing in hip life at the moment as we speak now.
But he identifies himself as a hip life artist.
Of course, every great writer would obviously add him, especially when you are telling a story from the past to the present. How do you even take him out? So all that I'm saying is that Stonebwoy is a fantastic artist. He's earned his global recognition in whatever, even though he's not the only one or the one who has come very close to the Grammys. He shouldn't be fretting over some of these things. It appears as petty to me. If you're doing that, it sounds as if I say open validation, but you have it already. You are a great artist already. Internationally, you are known. So what are you clamoring for at this moment? When somebody has done a beautiful article, mistakes now, more pointing out, pioneering, valid, but it's not a mistake. Not mentioning Stonebwoy in the article.
I beg you.
Why are they sacking us when we have more time to be talking about some of these things? But on a more serious note, I withdraw the sensible thing that I said about you. I think tempers were fraying, and it's very bad for me to have mentioned.
I'll come on your show and also say that.
But you also. You also, as a host, when you are hosting, you guys have not been fair to me by interjecting my presentation. I have an article. So I have an article that I'm going to publish on manjoonline.com. Stonebwoy's rant about Grammy's hip life article is much ado about nothing. I'll be publishing this. Please go take a read and then know the true
come
true
into
story.
The comment session there.
Yes. Yeah. Don't mind DJ Slim and the other people.
This is Hitz.